Good morning and welcome to Carolina Cares, an iHeartMedia production originating from our flagship family of stations in Columbia, South Carolina. My name is Tyler Ryan, your host, and today we're going to talk about those favorite words from one of my favorite movies of all time, Show Me the Money. We're talking cash, and there's a very good chance if you're within the sound of my voice that you actually may have a few dollars that someone else is holding on for you that you don't even know you have. It's a true story, but we'll get back to that. First, I want to introduce our guest this morning, the treasurer of the great state of South Carolina. I guess you're kind of I guess you're the CFO, right? Curtis Loftis joins us this morning.
They call my position the private banker.
Banker.
Which is boring to most people. Well, that's what we are. But good to see you, Tyler. How are you?
I am fantastic, treasurer. Yeah. Really good to see you as well. Yeah. So bring us up to speed a little bit. I know we've talked from time to time, but folks, we're on the statewide network now. They may not really have a whole grasp on what the treasurer does. I mean, treasurer takes care of money. We get that part. But really, let's talk about you a little bit and then really kind of what your role and what the treasurer role is.
Yeah, well, the treasurer's role is to be the private banker of the state. And as you mentioned, that unclaimed property fund, which I want everybody to hang on for a few minutes because we'll go to that. It's very important. It's where we have $650 million of money belongs to citizens, to churches, to charities, to businesses, to schools. It's just amazing. But the treasurer's office manages invest about $45 to $50 billion a year.
Right.
We're in charge of the state's debt. When Carolina needs to build a building, we go wire the money for them and provide all those financing functions. So it's a big job. We've got a staff that's by far the best treasurer's office staff ever. It's taken me 9 years to get to the point where I would have no problems comparing the staff at the treasurer's office of South Carolina. Wow. They do a great job. And when I started, we had one CPA, and that was it.
Okay.
And now I don't know how many we have. It's 15 or something. People with a master's in public finance and public administration.
Right.
And we had half of a lawyer. It's a great lawyer, wow. but he did half time there and half time he was doing business functions. Well, now we have four. And when you're in the world of $1 billion contracts, one contract is $20 billion. Wow. You can imagine if you're just a little bit off, if you lose a basis point or two, it's a lot of money.
Sure.
So we've invested in staff, and the people should feel good about their money. Most people, they don't want to hear too much about their money. They just want to know that it's safe and, they can find it. We have a lot of transparency on our website so people see where we place money and those types of things. But it's a lot of fun.
So in reality, so you as the treasurer then, so when I pay my taxes, Uncle Henry comes and collects his, whether it's a sales tax or state tax, income or whatever, that goes, obviously I pay that to somebody, to the state of South Carolina, that finds its way to your office and under your watch then.
That's right. Well, I bank all of those organizations. So if you write a check to Department of Revenue, that check actually goes into my bank.
Okay.
Because I'm their banker. University of South Carolina, same way. Clemson, almost any state agency you can think of is that way. And you buy a hunting license, that money's going to end up in my account.
Okay.
So we manage that money. We invest it every night. Some of us on long term, but just like you have the bank sweep your account at night, you say you have $500 extra and they take it out and they invest it. You get a little bit of money at the end of the year.
Right.
We sweep our accounts, and sometimes that's $20 billion with a B.
Gracious.
So we have that money out and invested, and it's we're pleased, it's safe, and it's secure. So it's a lot to it. I can put people to sleep talking too much about finance.
Sure.
But it's just important for me that people understand that we really take managing their money seriously. We don't make decisions about who gets the money. We don't make those kind of decisions. But all the investment decisions we make, how money goes through the system by checks or electronic wires or payment cards, all that stuff is us, and we do a good job, and I'm very proud. We made $285 million interest income. Of course, that's spent by the state on a lot of different things.
Right.
And that's the importance of having a great treasurer's office.
So the money comes in. I assume this is probably the same in all 50 states. But so the money comes into your office. So if I pay my hunting tax, my hunting license, my $15 or whatever goes into you, goes into that fund earmarked for DNR or whatever, and that goes in that fund, and then say the DNR budget is $20 million, and you're responsible for making sure that they have those funds that they've been allocated by the General Assembly, who sets it in the budget folks, finance and budget committees, that then say, they get $20 million, then they know that you kind of hang on to the money until they request it.
That's correct.
Is that the dumbed down version for me?
That's correct. And we can have hundreds of millions of dollars in a day and hundreds of millions of dollars out in a day. So being able to manage that is not easy because the agencies don't always tell us what they're doing.
Right.
We'll get a heralded response like maybe a $200 million check is supposed to close on Wednesday or clear my bank on Wednesday. they'll call on Monday and say, hey, guess what? We wrote that check. It's gonna clear today. But we can handle it. That's what we do. So It is a lot of fun. I mean, Treasurer's Office, we run these other programs like the Unclaimed Property Program, which is so much fun for me. It's a hard job in that the hardest sell I have is to make people believe they have money at the Treasurer's Office.
Right.
Yeah, and think about it. Now, you personally have had several accounts where you got money.
So let's go ahead and jump into that real quick. We won't have folks wait too long to hear about how they may have money. Let me tell you this funny story really quick. I mean, I know you've been doing the program a while, and I have 2 or 3 times found through companies that I've owned money that came back to me that I didn't know I had. I look my name up on the website that you can do. If you're listening, you can do it right now, and it'll say, you've got. It won't necessarily give you the exact amount, but it'll say over $100. Yeah, and then over $100 could be $1,000. Yeah, but that's my money.
We do an over and under $100 because that's a little bit for security. But the largest check that I've returned so far is $900,000.
Oh my God!
But we had tons of them in the $200,000-$400,000 range, and people will have no idea it's coming to them. Their dad may have worked for the railroad, didn't have any money, but he got stock every 2 weeks, and he kept that stock. He never told anybody. He just stuck it in a box.
And probably didn't think about it again.
Yeah, and when that stock goes missing after a certain time, the railroad sends it to us. So the reason that's on my mind is because I have a woman in Atlanta right now. I'm literally going to have to go down there and beat her over the head to make her understand that her dad really did have $544,000 in stock.
And it's funny. So we talk about this, and I'm glad you're mentioning that she doesn't believe it, because as we're walking through the radio station to come to this very interview, I mentioned to one of my friends that I work here, I said, hey, check your name. And he didn't believe me. Yeah. He's like, you're lying. I said, I'm telling you, look up your name. He goes, no, you're full of it. I said, this is Curtis Loftis. He's the treasurer of the state of South Carolina. Check your name. And finally he did. And I bet that's a tough thing to get across to people. Because when you call and say you got 500 G's, Tyler, I'd be like, sure.
Now, think about it. If Oprah came on TV and said, look, y'all, state treasurer's got $650 million for y'all. Y'all should go to his website, which is www.treasurer.sc.gov, treasurer.sc.gov. Y'all should go to that website and check. Everybody on the planet would go for Oprah. But when I talk about it, when you talk about it, people, it's not us. What do these people know? I'm smart. I keep my money. I don't let any money go. The thing is that everything being, especially now being electronic, somebody says it'll be deposited in your account in 24 hours. Well, do you always check?
Right.
Now, if you're living real close to the edge, maybe you do, but most people don't, and that's how it works. We go up north, we go out west, we go to any of the money centers in America and get on them, and we audit big businesses, big insurance houses, big banks, all those kind of folks, because they'll have money. We brought $75 million back from one insurance company alone that belonged to South Carolinians. Wow. And we've given about half of that back. We're still looking for the other half, but they were old accounts, but it means a lot. It's funny because the average person, of course, is not going to have $400,000 or $200,000. Lots of times they'll have $50 or $100 or $200 or $300. But I can promise you, I've given checks for $500,000 to somebody, and they'll shake my hand and say, Mr. Treasurer, thank you very much. I'll never hear from them again. You give a single mother of $350, and she'll cry. That's her rent money. That's her medicine money for her youngest kid. It's meaningful to most people in South Carolina. We have about a $52,000 a year average household income. So if you can give somebody $100 or $200 or $500 that they didn't know was coming,
that means something.
It's easy for them to get, and they can spend it. It's a big deal.
Sure. And think about this, y'all. The holidays are coming up. Think about this. If you are trying to get those extra presents for the kids, and maybe things aren't as grand as they could be for you, what do you think $300 is going to do that you didn't know was coming, that you didn't budget in for Christmas? That'd be pretty nice Christmas morning.
I know that I'm a little bit crazy about it because, half of my job is finance. The other half is politics. And, politics is not the nicest of jobs, right? It's a pretty dirty business, and we have to do it. Well, so one of the ways I escape that is unclaimed property. I keep the app open on my telephone.
Right.
And when I see somebody I hadn't seen in a while, like I saw you, we knew that we owed you some money. But we found another account just now.
That I didn't even know I had.
I had no idea. I had it open. When I go out, if I've been at a restaurant or something, it's always just open on my phone. It's one of those apps. And I constantly look up people, and I constantly find people. I think it's 1 in 3 people will either find money for themselves or find money for a very close relative.
Right.
And you can look up anybody's name because it's public knowledge. So even if you don't find anything money for yourself, it's a great phone call. Call Susie. Say, Susie, I know I hadn't seen you in 10 years. We were in high school together. But guess what? I found $400 down at the treasurer's office. We found $13,000 not too long ago for a Girl Scout troop.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot of money to them.
And I'm glad you said it. So it's not just individual. You're talking, you mentioned early on, but make sure that point is clear too. It's not just me or my mom and them. These are churches, charities, businesses.
Exactly. State agencies have had money. I've got a good friend of mine who was in high school, black female, about 60 or 61 years old. So her kids are out of the house. She's looking for things to do. Well, I was looking through one of the lists because she and I live in the same, close to the neighborhood. And I saw one of her uncles that I thought it was his uncle. It's been a long time since we were in grammar school and high school, right?
Sure.
It's been 40 years. So I called her and said, yeah, that's my uncle. I said, well, why don't you do this? I've been trying to break into the minority community for a long time. We return some money, right? But it's just a different community, and it's harder to get into. So she's my first ambassador. And I'm having a list printed for her neighborhood. Because, it's kind of an extended neighborhood. Because she knows who everybody is. She knows who's married to so-and-so. She knows who's living with so-and-so. She knows who inherited mama's house but kept the address the same and the name. She knows all that stuff. She's found 10 people already for me. And I haven't really even gotten her the list yet. She's just been looking them up. Mm-hmm. But we're looking for people who will say, I got a little spare time. And if I can find money for my community,
right,
or my neighborhood or my school or my church, it's a lot of fun. When you get to that software, you can play with it. You see it asks for a first name and a last name. First name isn't all that important. And then it's got a county. But you can just put at the top like church and put in a city. And it'll give you any churches in that neck of the woods. It may also give you churches in that whole region. Sure. So if you're smart,
you might get some random chicken shops. I get it. Yeah. Fair enough.
So, yeah, exactly. So you can play with it, and it is a lot of fun. I'll end with a little story. You call people, and I'll take a list home of some of the biggest names, right? When I started with this list 9 years ago, I'd get like the top 50, and it would be anywhere between 350,000 to 800,000 or 900,000. Well, we've been steadily working that number down, even though, now this is important, new money comes in every day. So the $650 million we have today is not the same $650 we had 6 months ago because new money is coming in and it's going out. So you ought to check twice a year anyway. So I take that list home and I work it, and it's fun. It's easy to drop off the world, especially if you're older. An older female who went to school in the 50s maybe doesn't know a whole lot about computers, or an older male for that matter. I'm not trying to, but the females live longer. That's why they're on my mind. So you start looking for them. Well, you find a last name, a similar last name in the same small town. It might be their grandson or granddaughter. So I start sending them a note on Facebook. And you're thinking, hey, who's this old man writing me about Granny?
Right.
But that's how we find a lot of people. There was a lady who died in Greer, and she had about $250,000 coming to her. And I couldn't find her anywhere. And I'm not going to quit. I'm going to find this woman if it takes me the next 4 years. I'm going to find her. So I finally found where her mother had died. You can go online and look at people's gravestones. It's something like gravestones.com or something like that. Anyway, so I found that. I found where her sister-in-law lived in New Jersey. So I said, great, I'll call there. So I got the sister-in-law, brother-in-law's number, called him, said, hey, I'm Curtis Loftis. I'm the state treasurer in South Carolina, and your sister-in-law has $250,000. Click. Right? He hung up on me. Well, that's okay. I'll call him back. So I called him again, and I say the same thing, and this guy, he was gruff. He was rough. He was not one of your kinder people. So what he says then is he says, listen, I don't want to hear from you. You're just some old cracker from South Carolina, and I just don't want to hear from you. Click again. Well, he's 700 miles away. He can't vote for me. I'm going to call again because I'm going to find this woman. So I finally said to him, I called him, got him back on the phone, and I said, if you give me 30 seconds, I'll never bother you again. You can't pass up that deal. He didn't say anything. So I said, if you have her call me, I'll make sure she gets her $250,000. And you have to have her call because otherwise you're going to always think, does that cracker down in South Carolina really have that money? So he was dead silent. He was quiet. And then he says on the phone, he says, I'm going to tell her, but I want you to know something. I don't like you. I don't trust you. I think you're that Nigerian prince who follows me around on the internet trying to steal my money. And you've got the worst fake Southern accent I've ever heard.
That is funny.
And then he hung up the phone. 20 minutes later, she called, nicest woman on the planet. She got not only that $250,000, but we checked the other states, and it was a total of $400,000. Her husband had died unexpectedly.
Sure.
Didn't wrap up stuff. He was 45 years old. And so it was a total of about $400,000. So this is how these things happen. It's a lot of fun. Go look up your mom and your dad. And people say, well, they've already passed. Well, that's exactly right. Their estates will close. And after some period of time, money comes in. Lots of money can come in.
It's unbelievable. Speaking with the treasurer of the Palmetto State, South Carolina, Curtis Loftis, we're talking about the Unclaimed Property Program, Unclaimed Money Program, and it's funny you mentioned the Nigerian prince, because we've all got that scam. Yes. You got free money. All you've got to do is just cash this check. Don't ever do that, folks. That's right. But and I think that's an important distinction. I can understand why some people are like, sure, this is Curtis Loftis. Okay. Exactly. Well, so we spend half our time telling people never believe anybody on the phone. Right. And then we're trying to find them. But what I always say to them, look, I'm going to hang up. You go to the website. You go to the official state treasurer's website, the .gov and all that stuff. You Google us. You find it out. You call my office. Don't call me. You call my office, talk to people. You'll see it's real. And they do. Sure. So that's good. So that's my program. But we also have that college savings plan. You've probably seen it on TV. And that's so important because we all know about the cost of higher education. Sure. And that's a 529, is that? Yep, 529. Okay. You know what that stands for? That's the IRS code. Isn't that boring? See, that's the world I live in. Yeah, the IRS code 529. Put you back to sleep on a Sunday morning, folks. But what it does is it allows you to save money in a tax advantaged way. And that's the whole key. If you've got a kid, say the kid didn't have to be born yet, you can open it in your name and transfer it to the kid later. But say you got a newborn. You open an account at futurescholar.com. You just go there. It takes you less than an hour. You put money in. There are no fees. You don't have an initiation fee. You don't have a monthly fee. You don't have a minimum. You don't even actually have to put money in the account yet. You can open the account and get it ready. Okay. And then you start funding the account. Well, that contribution is tax-free. Or tax deductible. Right. So if it's my kid and I make it a deduction, a contribution, it's tax deductible. If you're my friend and you make a Christmas present to my little kid, it's tax deductible to you. Now that's fantastic for like grandparents and aunts and uncles, because my grandparents always put a little bit, it was a tiny bit, but every little bit helps, right? Yeah. But every year on our birthdays and Christmas, we would get a little bit for the school fund. It's huge. I have a lot of nieces and nephews. I won't hardly buy them anything because they have everything they need. But if they have a 529 plan, they're going to get a check every time. And I'm more than happy to, because it's different from buying somebody a sweater they don't need or whatever it is. Kids have most of what they need. So it's a lot of fun. We've got it set up so that once you once you open an account, there's a little button out there on the website that you can send an invitation to whoever you want to, people in your Facebook crowd or Twitter or whoever your friends are, your address book. And you say, hey, look, little baby Tyler has now got his own account. We want him to go to college in 18 years. If you're so disposed, at any point for Christmas or birthdays or bar mitzvah, whatever you have, you could write a check here. And instead of going to Walmart, instead of getting in their car, buying gasoline, driving to Walmart, paying sales tax, they can sit at home and make a tax-deductible gift. Isn't that a win? Now, what happens to that money? Obviously, it's earmarked to me, so it all goes into a fund, I assume, because bigger money makes bigger money. But then you have the job then of taking that fund, whatever value it is today, $1 million. I'm sure it's significantly more, but let's say it's $1 million for ease on a Sunday morning. You take that money and you invest it how you would normally invest any our unclaimed money or the state's money. Is that what you do with that? It's slightly different because it's a longer scale. The fund is now $4 billion. That's with a B. Wow. Yeah. When I started, I became treasurer 9 years ago. It was 1.1 billion. 1.1 billion. And now we've got over 140,000 participants, 140,000 people who'll be going. Yeah. And because I go out any place somebody invite me, I go, they say, hey, why don't you come to our church or Rotary? I go. Right. And because it's so important. The tax is not just that the contribution is tax deductible when you first put it in, but we invest that money and it grows tax free. So if you understand how that works, instead of paying taxes on that investment gain, you don't pay taxes on it. Right. So that 20 or 30% that you would pay, it stays in there. It compounds. So it just rolls over for the next 18 years or whatever. 18 or 20. Yeah, that's right. And you can use it for grad school, go back to school. So it's tax deductible when you put it in. It grows tax free, and then when you take it out
for educational expenses, it's tax-free as well.
Now, does that include, obviously, tuition? Is that books and
Books,
and
computers,
housing? I mean, anything
room and
related
board,
to...
your normal, ordinary expenses. And it's not just at Carolina or Clemson, not just at any 2 or 4 year college in South Carolina, both public or private, but any accredited college around the country.
Oh, wow.
So 2 year, 4 year, certain technical or trade schools that
What about
are
online? And there's a lot of accredited online
if
schools.
they're accredited online, for that as well. You can use it for graduate school. There are about 600 universities around the world that you can use it at that are accredited by the United States government, and you can use it around the world. So that flexibility is incredible. And so you start off, you started early, maybe you start putting $50 a month in there or $5 a month. It doesn't matter. You just start, right? So you get that started. It's growing tax-free. You got tax-free contribution. You pull it out tax-free. But then you start thinking, well, my kid is 6'6". He runs the 40 and 3.8 or whatever. I don't even know what the numbers are now. It's been so long since I've been out of it. He's getting a full ride to Clemson or Carolina. You say, well, I'll transfer this money to his little brother who is not going to get a full ride anywhere. And Aller Jr.
That sounds about right.
And it's no charge. I mean, it's just that's how flexible it is.
Okay.
So all those advantages just move. So it's difficult to ever save enough money for college. But if you're ever going to do it, unless you're just rich, right? But even rich people use this because they get the tax deduction.
Sure.
But you just have to use these tax advantage plans. And the 529 is called Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 College Savings Plan, and you can find it at futurescholar.com. We'll
put links for you at the WVOC Carolina Cares tab. We'll put links for you for that. And you alluded to it through grad school. So if I just graduated college, I'm 21 years old, and I know that I am at some point going to want to go back. I've got a job, whether it's in my trade field or I've got a job making tons of money at Chick-fil-A, and I say, you know what, my life's goal is at 30 to go back and get my master's.
Exactly.
Can I do it for myself, even though I'm 21, 22? It doesn't have to be little Tyler at 8 years old.
It's I've just gotten reelected, so I've got until 4 years from now, so it's like 2022. And if I were not to run again, I would retire. And I thought, would I go back to school and take some stuff that I'm really interested in? Because there's certain things I'm very interested in, and I could start for myself. And, the older you get, the higher your tax bracket. You're doing those savings. And I could go anywhere. If I wanted to go to Malibu and go to, what's the name of school there? Temple? No, not Temple. Pepperdine. Yeah, Pepperdine. Yeah, Pepperdine. And go to school there. Or if I want to go to New York City and go to Columbia and live in a big city. All the things that you hadn't done, you can do that with the 529 plan because it is flexible. Now, you have to be actively involved in school, but you don't have to be taking the heaviest load and, nothing but physics and cosmology all day long, right?
Sure. Yeah. Is there a cap, an annual? I mean, because as you mentioned, some folks do have considerable means, and maybe they want the tax write-off and/or to, have little Junior, little Johnny do that. Is there a cap? If I have it like that and I can put in $50,000 a year to little Tommy's fund, can you do that, or is there a cutoff or graduated benefit? There
are two caps. One is the lifetime cap, where you can only have so much money, and I think that's $500,000. Okay, we've changed them, so I need to. Maybe it's right here in front of me. I need to refresh it, but it's a large number. Okay, so it's a lot of people aren't going to get to that number.
And then, is that going to be per student, or is that going to be per student, per account?
Yeah, see if that's in there.
So you technically, if it's $500K and you had 2 kids, you technically could invest up to $1 million. We are speaking with Curtis Loftis, the treasurer here of the Palmetto State of South Carolina, talking about the money program and, of course, the 529 savings program. 2 very, very great things that you really need to be involved in if you live here. And if you don't, you can live in other states too.
Yeah. You can also, law was changed this year, you can use it for K through 12 private school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a new thing. And it's K through 12 private schools. So, a lot of people pay more for a private school than they do college.
Yeah.
Now, out it's funny, out in the countryside, you can go to a good private school. It's not much money. I mean, it's really a deal. Sure. But you get in a place like Columbia and Charleston, you can spend a lot of money. Right. But that's the new thing. They also, when they changed the law for that, which is a big deal, but when they changed the law for that, they also started another program. And this is really important. And we have not talked nearly enough about it. It's called the ABLE program. And that's a 529A, which nobody really cares about that. But what that is, it's the same type of fund, but it's for folks with disabilities. So if you have a disability that you got from age 0 to 26, you can start this fund. And it is certainly for that, or higher education, or K through 12. But it's also designed so that it can help your life experience every day. So say you're a high-functioning autistic kid.
Okay.
And you stay home by yourself because your mom doesn't get home till 5, but you have an appointment at 3 o'clock for the doctor. It'll pay for Uber to take you to the doctor's office.
No kidding.
Yeah. Now, it's obviously not set up to Uber you around the planet forever, right? But
right.
It's designed to make your life experience better. It'll pay for a lot of health care. It'll pay for nurses coming in. Mm-hmm. It is the only plan of its type, only plan of any type that allows people who are on federal or state disabilities to acquire money without putting their other disability payments at risk. So if you're fully disabled mm-hmm. because of some disability that you have from birth, you still can put money in this account. Your parents and your grandparents or whoever, they can put money in this account that allows some flexibility in your life.
Right.
Without it affecting your state or federal benefits. And that is a game changer. For people who have
Sure.
children with disabilities, they know what that means, because that's always the fear. You can't have so much money. You can't accumulate anything. When the kids get older, the parents are always worried about, the kid's not going to have any money. We can't save any money. What happens when we die? Mm-hmm. Well, this takes care of a lot of that. So it works by and large on the same type of thing. You put money in, it's tax deductible, we'll invest it, but it's geared for not just college and education, but for your daily life experiences.
Who comes up with these? Is this a federal program that says 529? The feds say, okay, we're going to put this addendum. This now it's open to to disabled or disabilities or whatever. So it's not South Carolina necessarily, but it's the federal government saying we're going to allow this to happen, and now that triggers here in North Carolina, Georgia, Vermont. What
happens is the federal government allows it to happen. And our General Assembly, I get on them, they get on me, you know how it's politics, right? But the General Assembly has done such a fantastic job on these two plans. They've allowed these plans to be, they give them to one person, they give them to me. They don't give it to a broad committee, because you know what happens then. And that's why we were able to change from, $1.1 billion to $4 billion in a short amount of time. Because we can get out there and sell it. We can talk to people. Mm-hmm. The new plan here, the ABLE plan, which is for folks with disabilities, that's a newer plan. So we really got to get our feet under ourselves. We don't have much of an advertising budget, so I'm working on that. But this whole thing comes back to the General Assembly. And you got people like Katrina Shealy here in Lexington County, and Nikki Setzler. One's a Republican, one's a Democrat. They worked again from a Democrat from over in Richland County. Mm-hmm. He's been just active as he could on these things. So it's bipartisan. It cuts across all the lines, because people realize this is people helping themselves. This isn't some government handout. This is your money. There's no government money that goes to manage these things. Right. And I don't get paid anymore for selling them or not selling them. Right?
Sure,
so,
sure.
And staff works out of the fund itself. We have a little teeny bit that comes to pay for staff, but those are private dollars. So this is private people helping themselves by the good judgment and grace of the General Assembly.
I love it. State Treasurer Curtis Loftis here from South Carolina. Just a couple of things you want to just recap. You want to look for that found money or recovered money program. There's a good chance 1 in 3 people, you've got some cash literally that is yours, and it's not a game. It's not some rich uncle from the Middle East. It is a real deal and not a scam. I can tell you firsthand that's the case. You can search yourself. That way you don't have to worry about Curtis calling you. You can do that as well. But that 529 program, the 529 for education, and the great thing he just told us about, the 529 ABLE program that really expands the ability to maximize monies without impairing. And as he mentioned, if you're on disability, you're on Social Security, certain things can impact that. This program won't impact, and you don't have to offset it at the risk of losing benefits. Sir, I really appreciate you being a good steward of our cash.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun.
Love it out there. We're going to put links for you to the Treasurer's office. Treasurer.sc.gov is the quick, easy way to find him, but links at the Carolina Cares tab at WVOC. This has been Carolina Cares, an iHeart Media production. We are hailing from our flagship family of stations, iHeart Radio Group in Columbia, South Carolina. My name is Tyler Ryan. If I can be assistance to you or you have an idea for a guest, you can email me, tylerryan@iheartmedia.com. Once again, this is Carolina Cares. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll speak with you in 7 days.